Ooh, sighting.
Mighty Mouse!
Ooh, rainy. In that case, I guess it's time to upgrade the winch on Mighty Mouse.
So let's get rid of this Tractor Supply brand back roads that's seen better days and replace it with this Fieryred winch from Vic Off-Road. So the Fieryred winch is pretty much direct competition for Harbor Freight's Badland brand. The Fieryred comes with a 2.2 horsepower electric motor with a 3-stage planetary gear system with a 166 to 1 gear reduction, which gives it a line speed of about 8.5 feet per minute. The Fieryred winch is IP67 rated to be submerged up to 1 meter, which is a little over 3 feet, for up to 30 minutes, exact same as the Harbor Freight Badlands. Alright, so that wasn't too bad. We've got the old Backroads winch from Tractor Supply off. For you guys that are wondering, this is the KFI mounting bracket. I really love this bracket. I've had this on since I've had this. This is a 2016. So that's 5 years I've had this on, and you can see it's in great shape. It's a little dirty, but is by no means rusted. The hardware is all good. And the reason why I like this mount is, one, it mounts it up high where some other mounts will mount it down in here, which is lower. For me, especially if it's because you're in the mud and doing the mud a lot, is why you have your winch. The higher, the better. You get it down, mounted down low here, you're in the mud. It's really got to pull at an upward angle to get you out of the mud. When you're up high, it's not quite as steep of a pull if you're, down in a hole. And this KFI mount not only mounts securely here to this support bar for your push bar here on the front, it also has this plate with U-bolts that secure it to this cross piece member that goes across here, which is attached to a better part of the frame. So this KFI mount is one I highly recommend if you have yet to put a winch on your 500 or 520. It's probably the best quality winch plate that I've seen. I'm sure there's probably other companies out now that probably copy this design, but at the time when I bought my P5, there wasn't very many options. It was either this KFI high mount or like the factory mount, which mounts it down here lower, and I went with the high mount. Now, to give this Backroads credit, again, this is a Tractor Supply brand. I've had this on here from day one. If you guys have watched my channel for a long time, you know the kind of stuff I've got into with Mighty Mouse. We got him now! So this guy has definitely been submerged a lot. And for the past several years, I've had to constantly pull this end cap off and pretty much WD-40 this because it's gotten lots of water inside. The magnets have rusted and it would seize, and I'd have to loosen it up. And it's finally now gotten to the point where it just doesn't have power to pull anymore. I'm about to pop these two bolts off here real quick, and we'll take a look at the inside. So you can see the kind of damage that's taken place over the years with this winch. And I do not believe that this winch was actually rated for water like the Badlands or like this Fieryred is. Woo. So you can see the amount of corrosion and stuff in there on the magnets. Oh, come on, light. Stop it. Stop it. In here, I mean, you can see the rust that is in there. And that's why I've had to lube it up every year. And that is why now it is shot and we need to replace it. Yeah, look at that gunk in there. We might be able to clean this up and salvage it. That might make a good video. See if we can get this guy back to working a little better. But regardless, we are going to replace this 3,000 pound Backroads with this 5,500 pound Fieryred winch. This guy comes with everything you see here. Of course, the winch. They have a steel cable and a synthetic cable option. Vic Off-Road sent me the one with the synthetic cable. This guy retails around 189 bucks, so it's actually a better deal than the Badlands brand. It comes standard with, of course, a mounting plate, 2 wireless remotes. I know for the Badlands you have to buy the wire remote kit separate. Comes with all the hardware. It has your control box here. Of course, your switch, which will probably be taking this apart to use to wire into my regular rocker switch here. A Haas Fieryred for your synthetic cable. Of course, it has your hook. All the hardware, and they even give you a couple different knobs here. You can switch out from red to this gray to just plain old black, so you can kind of match it to your needs or to your buggy. And this here is just a little mounting plate that you can mount, and then it slides into the back of your control box here, which is pretty cool because that makes installing this much easier when you only have this to work with, fastening somewhere, and not to try to fasten this whole giant thing somewhere. I guess before we get too much farther, we better make sure there's room in there for that puppy to fit, which I think there is. Plate, where plate fits. That, oh yeah, that fits, or plate fits. So our winch should fit in there. I may have to pull this bar loose though to get it in there. Let's just see. Oh, like a glove. We're gonna have no problem fitting this puppy in here, maybe except for the cable. There we go. Oh yeah, lots of room. Lots of room. See, by the time we get holes lined up where they should be, we will be in good shape. So I'm sure I'll have to check on the R-Max. I think this is pretty much the same size as the Badlands, so that's not an issue there if you guys want to run the Badlands. Both the Fieryred, like this one, and Badlands from Harbor Freight are both made in China. So I imagine they're pretty much identical as far as build quality and stuff. But with this Fieryred, you do get a little bit more options for less price, such as their wireless remotes. But looking at the mounting plate here, these 4 holes line up with 4 holes on the KFI mounting plate, which are also the same holes that we need to actually mount our winch. So we're gonna have to set both of these kind of in there at the same time and wiggle it around to get everything lined up and then go through everything at the same time. All right, now I gotta do a little thinking and a little planning where I want to mount the control box. Because before, with the old one, I had it mounted right here, which is kind of where I wanted to put the new one. However, the leads for the battery are only this long. So they're not gonna reach if I mount it up there. However, the cables they give you for to run to the actual winch itself are nice and long. So provided that they'll reach the whole way, I'm probably gonna mount that guy right here in the middle. Leave room so when I want to put my boost controller back in, I can. So probably keep it over here somewhere. And I think I'll still be able to run my cables up to reach the winch. So let me see if I got enough cable to do that. That way I can hook up my power cables here to my secondary battery I have installed here. And I'll check back in with you if it'll reach. All right, I made this a little bit easier on myself. I did take this section of the floor out, which is pretty much just a pile of the push rivets and 2 Allen screws that was here in the middle. So now I got a wire run through, hooked onto the terminal because I was able to get in there a little better. And now we should be able to just pull her through. There we are. And we'll do the same thing with the other. We should have plenty. I'm gonna run this up back here, bring it out here where the radiator hose runs, and then it should be a straight shot right to the terminals. All right, that worked quite nice. I got the power cables to the winch hooked up and run down where they're out of the way of everything. Ran back here. I ran in here right below the parking brake. It won't interfere with anything. It'll kind of be pinched between the floor and the support right here. I did put a piece of wire loom around it to protect it from these metal edges. I'll probably zip tie that fast there. But I'll do that, put the floor back in, and then we'll mount that control back box. I've got plenty of cable left to find a good spot to set it. Woo! Making progress. I got the floor back in. I've got my control box here for the winch mounted, and I got plenty of room here to hook my battery cables up. Not the best. I don't like having to have these bolts through this way, but that's the only way I could put it right here without these sticking so far out that they get in the way of the control box. So it is what it is. I got my plug-in for a switch wire. Ran here. I cut the end off because this came with this here in this little box, but I just tore it apart and cut that. I'm going to wire in the switch I had in there, put it back where I had to go. But other than that, she is just about finished up. I did go ahead and throw the Haas Fieryred and my hook on there. So once I finish up this little bit of wiring, we can give her a test and make sure she works. All right, we got everything buttoned up in here. Power is hooked up. We got the wire ran. We got our switch back in place, and everything is working as it should. Oh, I can't quite reach. Out is working, although she's kind of stuck. So there's that, and of course, we've got the 2 remotes now. These did not come with batteries. They take them tiny little 23 amp 12 volts. So I had to steal one out of my little multimeter here, which luckily I had. But a simple switch on the side. Out. In. Now you can see the delay there with the wireless remotes. That's why I don't really care much for them. There's a good second there from the time you release the button, 1/1000, to the time it stops. And I mean, it's probably not such a big deal as long as you plan for that. I don't care for remotes like this, but it is nice to have if you gotta be away from your machine to hook something up. You're the only one riding maybe, and you're by yourself, and you need to be able to be out here to keep tension on that till you get it tightened up to where you can pull. So they are handy, and it is a lot nicer than having to plug a cord in and run way out, because this you can just throw in your pocket till you get stuff hooked up and then use it. But with that delay, I probably won't use this very much. I'll just use the switch in here, but I probably will get some batteries and keep one of these at least in my little tube box here. It's plenty deep enough to keep one of those in, so I have it if need be. Like I said, this little backroads one had one too. I never used it, so I probably won't use this one very much either. For now, I'm gonna take a battery and put back my multimeter, but yep, that's it. So she's dark now, but tomorrow when we get some light, I'm gonna pull the 500 up next to the RMAX so we can kind of compare this Fieryred
to the Badlands as best as we can. I know the Badlands and the X4 is kind of in there. You can't see much. But construction-wise, I'm pretty sure they are pretty similar. And then we'll go find the mud hole, see if we can't get a little bit stuck, and see how this guy pulls Mighty Mouse out of a hole. All right, it's going to be kind of hard to see here, but I want to compare this Fieryred to the Badlands winch, because whether Vic Off-Road intends it or not to be, this is pretty much a direct competition to the Harbor Freight Badlands. So it's kind of hard to see here in the R-Max because it's tucked back in there. But let's take a look. One thing I've noticed as far as the knob here for free spool, it is a lot smaller on the Badlands. You have this right here, there's a finger, compared to the Fieryred, which is this whole giant side with a nice grip. I mean, this is easy to grab a hold of, and I like that. So I'd say that definitely wins over the Badlands, where they give you these little finger holds in here and a couple little tabs here. But now I will say the Harbor Freight engagement and disengagement feels good and solid. Oh, I got too tight. This does feel a little more plasticky and cheap, but I don't think it has to do with the mechanism inside. I think it's because you have such a giant knob on this to turn. The engagement still feels smooth, but I've noticed this plastic kind of rubs on the winch housing here, so it gives it a little bit more plasticky feel because you feel that when turning. But the engagement itself is just as smooth and positive engaging as the Badlands. Now, as far as actual magnet diameter goes, we're just going to measure the housing here. This is about 3 3/8. And this one is definitely, well, it's pretty much the same. It's 3 3/8 as well. And keep in mind, this is a 5,500 pound. That's only a 5,000 pound. And size-wise, they're pretty much dead comparable. This has an overall length of 16 inches. The Badlands 5,000, if I can get in here. Oh, come on, T. It's a little under. We're looking at 15 inches. So the Badlands is not quite as long, but yet still has the same diameter as the Fieryred. But other than that, I mean, construction is pretty similar. The Badlands has just a regular black finish on it, where the Fieryred I like has kind of this hammered textured finish. So to me, in my mind, this is going to be a lot more of a durable finish. Not that you really pay much attention to how beat up your winches are getting anyway. They're usually protected enough. They don't get too awful beat up, but that is something to note, is that the finish on the Fieryred, that's a hard word for me to say, seems to be a little bit more durable. The cable-wise, they look to be about the same diameter. This is going to be really hard to measure. It's probably supposed to be like 3/16. I don't think this is as big as a quarter. It's nylon, so of course, when it's slack, it's going to expand a little bit because you're not pulling it taut. And we can't really compare the Badlands because this is an aftermarket cable I got off of Amazon anyway, because the Badlands came with the steel cable and not the synthetic, and I upgraded to synthetic. Where with the Fieryred, you can order it either with a steel or synthetic right off the website.
You can have your preference. That's nice.
Mm-hmm.
No, don't get me. Hey, it's gonna break.
It's a Fat Max.
It's gonna break.
Fat Max.
How many feet?
It's a Fat Max.
How many feet?
It's a Fat Max.
What are you at?
11 feet. All right, so we're at my little gully crossing, my little creek crossing here. And yes, I can get through this just fine in a 4-wheel drive, but I'm going to hit it slow in 2-wheel drive to intentionally get stuck, so then we can hook to a tree and see what kind of pulling power this Fieryred 5,500 pound winch has. Plus, Mighty Mouse is actually decently clean for once, so I don't want to get them all dirty. I still got more work I want to do to them, and it's getting too cold to have to wash them again. Don't worry, I'll act completely surprised I got stuck. And if I don't get stuck, we'll have to retake it. That'll just be a testament to Mighty Mouse's ability to traverse. Oh, this is deep. Ultra, I'm stuck. Whatever shall I do? Wow, this is really leaning. I better turn it off so all my oil don't run. All right, tree saver strap. Because I don't think I have enough trees around. I gotta save what trees we can save so we don't run out, right? Now I'd love to tell you what length the synthetic cable that winch comes with, but I have no idea. So I'll have to check on the website for that. And if I find out while I'm editing this video, I'll put it on the screen right here so you guys know. See, that long. That's really long.
Hopefully it's more than 30 feet.
Typically you get about 50 feet of cable with these size winches. So I'm sure that's probably what that is around 50.
Because if not, you might not make it.
Okay, secure it. The hook's not big enough for my D-ring. That's all right. We'll loop her through and hook her back in on herself. This is actually a pretty steep pull. So typically I would recommend using a snatch block with a pulley. So you could actually go through this and back to the machine. It gives you twice the amount of pulling power. But again, we're testing this winch out. So we're just gonna do straight line pull for this one.
Do you need to change it out of free spool mode?
Did I not do that?
I don't know, did you?
Good catch. I ain't hitting the gas. This is all just with the winch. Not touching the gas at all. Speed-wise, I'd say it's pretty much comparable with the Harbor Freight. It pulls about just as fast. Harbor Freight may just be a touch quicker to spool in, you think? I think the Harbor Freight might be just a touch faster.
It's hard to say.
It's pretty close. Yeah, this is just all machine there. I'm actually still in low gear. So it's actually pulling me through a gear. I wasn't in neutral. It didn't even struggle. But again, that is a 5,500 pound winch on a, what are these, 1,400 pound machine. So I wasn't thinking that was gonna struggle at all. But compared to a Harbor Freight, I'd say my initial impressions are it's just as good as Harbor Freight. It comes with more accessories than the Harbor Freight because you get 2 wireless remotes, where a Harbor Freight you have to pay for a whole extra wireless kit. And these Fieryred actually come in a bit cheaper. This 5,500 pound winch runs right around $189. And I think the Harbor Freight is like $230, I believe. So she does come in a bit cheaper than the Harbor Freight. So, well, let's head back to the shop. So now that we've got our winch upgrade all complete, I got one more project here to do with Mighty Mouse before we get to the next project, and that is installing a front brush guard. Now this brush guard I got for free. It is not made for the Pioneer 500. This is actually off an Articat, but as I hold this up here, it actually fits the profile very nice. The way these bars will go right around the headlight. I'll have to make up some brackets and find some way to rig that up there. But I think that's actually gonna work pretty well. So next video, we're gonna fab something up to attach this guy to Mighty Mouse just to give it a little added protection. I'll probably have to move my light bar, which I'll probably just move it to the outside here of this plastic piece, which just comes off easy. So we'll see what we get into and what we'll have to do to mount this guy. So that's the next video coming up. We're going to work on putting this on. I hope you enjoyed this quick little winch install. I know I never got around to doing one till now. If you want to purchase a Fieryred winch for your machine, whether it's a 500, a Wolverine RMAX, an X4, a Can-Am, even a Polaris, I will leave a link for Vic Off-Road in my description below. They have all different sizes of winches from 3,500 pounds, 4,500 pounds and up. They've got a plethora of winches for you to choose from, so you can find the right one for your side-by-side. And again, a big thank you to Vic Off-Road for sending me this winch to install and test out. You guys watching my videos, liking, subscribing, commenting is what helps companies like Vic Off-Road notice my channel and then send me stuff to test out so I can do an honest and fair review so you guys know what products are out there and what's worth your money or not. So again, thanks for watching, and until next time, God bless and keep on riding.
Wow. There it goes. It's like I'm laying in a tree.
I don't think those are very. It looks like it's wanting to us.
Yeah, let's just sit here for a minute. It looks like it's coming back. Isn't it? No, maybe just fly it on.
I think it's fighting the wind. Yeah, look at it fight the wind.
Wow, that's really cool. We've seen them here in the past. I think they live to be, they live quite a few years. Yeah, that's really cool. Great blue heron.
How do you know it's great? Could have just been average.